Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Rice News analyst, Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning, Mr. Efeni. How are you?
Cool. Now, let's start with this day newspaper. The lead story reveals Buhari empowered to extend service chief's tenure. HTACOS authorizes president to delay retirements irrespective of age. Buhari can't sack military brass now, says Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Yes, according to the revised Armed Forces of Nigeria Harmonized Terms and Conditions of Service 2017, of course, a copy of which this day has in its possession, the president has the powers to extend the tenure of the security chiefs irrespective of age or length of service.
Well,
yes, perhaps this is a repose to Femi Falana, who has been saying that the president is already in the breach of extant laws by not retiring the service chiefs. But I think this is also beside the point, whether the president has the powers or not, because most of the advocates of security chiefs must go now are not really talking about law. They're saying that these men who have served the nation well over time seem to have reached their peak in terms of ideas to deal with the security situation in the country. Yes, some may say, no, that may not be the case.
That they have reached their peak, or that they have reached a point of diminishing returns,
okay,
or that they have overstayed their welcome, or some people even say the appointment was guided by Peter's principle.
Yes.
You know, some have been that nasty.
Yes, then even when you have the National Assembly, the legislative body of government saying, no, this man should go now because we are not getting what we need now in terms of dealing with the security situation. So the law is not, whether the president has the power is not really the issue.
Well, the law is the law, which, of course, can be challenged, like Femi Falana is doing. But a bigger question that I had here, Doctor, and I wanted to raise this earlier as well, the problem as well with that Section 11.9 that states that the Commander-in-Chief has the power to extend for as long, regardless of age or tenure or the length of service. Regardless of age, that's very risky, because essentially what that is saying is, if we had a service chief that was serving and went over the age of, let's say, 85, and let's say it was obvious that this person was no longer fit to serve in that position, just because the commander-in-chief wants him there, he can stay there. Don't you think that that is a law that is a bit questionable? You know, it does give power. It does give powers that are quite risky.
I think that,
no, but I'm saying that's what it says in the law. If it's irrespective of age, it can be any age.
No, I think the thing we need to worry about was the point raised by Chief Bode George when he appeared on the program. He said, according to service rules, when you have put in, I think, 35 years of service, or you have reached the age of 60, then you can disengage, right? However, we have had cases in the past when another president even extended the tenure of an Inspector General of Police, maybe for specific reasons. And I said, the Constitution is liberal in that regard, in giving the president powers to delegate authority. But I do not imagine an absurd situation whereby the president will keep somebody till the age of 85. But that could be disruptive.
It would be, isn't it? But that's why that law is problematic.
No, but I think
that's what we hope will not happen.
That section simply emphasizes the discretion of given to the president to extend, because if a president is doing it, can do maximum of 8 years in office, and somebody hits the age of 60, then the maximum the president can extend it will be 68. So not even that you're 85.
Okay. But in any case, this Harmonized Armed Forces Terms and Conditions of Service talks about extension for 2 years after the completion of tenure, and then also maybe an additional 2 years, depending on the situation. So, I mean, there's still room for maneuver.
Yes. But I think this debate will not
within the law.
Will not go away as long as we have a precarious security situation in the country. Because the reason why this has become hot topic is because there's clear evidence that the security situation seems to be degenerating across the country. Then in the fight against terrorism in the northeast, banditry in the northwest and elsewhere, we don't seem to be making too much progress, if there is some progress. That is the reason why this debate is in the front burner. So until we see concrete degradation,
or if you like, improvement
in
the national security situation.
Yes, this debate will continue to rage. So, law or no law, armed forces.
You just want to be safe.
Yes, that's the trust of the matter. Now, Daily Trust also has the same similar lead story. Federal government ignores outrage, says service chiefs must stay. They have to go. Lawmakers insist. Of course, the debate will be talking about to go or not to go. But let's move over to the Vanguard newspaper. Suspected herdsmen killings. Outrage as Delta Commissioner of Police admits receiving 6 exhumed corpses.
Terrible.
Yes. Vows to go tough on criminal herdsmen. We need to establish our own Amotekun now. Pandev, Ijo Youth Council, others. Fish out killers, Okowa, families of slain victims lament killings. Now we recall this story which we also dealt with yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
In some part of Orobo land where these herdsmen killed as many as 8 locals who were going to their farms. And the first reaction from the Commissioner of Police was that, oh, it's not 8, it's only 1.
Go and exhume the bodies.
that they should give him evidence. So the people had to exhume 6. These 6 were
Awful.
In that community. Then one other was a visitor from Isoko land who had to be taken to his own village to be buried. So now that the Commissioner of Police has concrete evidence that indeed these herdsmen killed these locals, now is vowing to take tough measures against criminal herdsmen. We need to see him do that. Otherwise, the situation that...
2 quick comments.
Yes.
The Commissioner of Police in Delta State should do whatever it takes to make sure that this is investigated and that, the criminals who are behind this, that they are tracked down and made to face the full wrath of the law. What has happened in Delta State with these farmers is, again, a comment on the challenge of insecurity that we have in the country, whether it's in Chibok, where the Boko Haram again attacked people yesterday, or it is in Auno, where, houses and persons and vehicles were set ablaze, or here in Delta, where you have herdsmen killing other people. And the fallout of that, of course, is that, even in the Delta now, the various groups are saying that the Niger Delta area of Nigeria also needs an Operation Amotekun, or Operation Shege Kafasa. So once people see that they are not safe, they resort to self-help. They resort to private measures to be able to protect themselves, either as individuals living in their houses or as members of communities. But I must commend the Vanguard, because in this story, I tried to go through it quickly as we're summarizing it. Nowhere did they, try to ethnicize the herdsmen. The editor stayed very safe and talked only of killer herdsmen, which puts the point right across that these are criminals. It's not about whether they come from one part of the country or the other. And I think other newspapers should learn from this, because oftentimes, you just label, there's an ethnic label that is put on the herdsmen.
And it's very
wrong. Who says some of these herdsmen are not from other parts of Nigeria?
Which they are.
Or some coming from outside the country.
From,
outside the country,
from outside Nigeria, given the porous nature of our borders.
Okay, the Nation newspaper. Boko Haram hits Chibok. as fighter jets pound ISWAP. Many killed, houses razed. Buhari promises freedom for Lear on 2nd anniversary. Yes, what we've just been talking about. These terrorists are still all over the place. Imagine what this community had to go through yesterday. Shootings that most of the people in that community had to find their way into the forest to escape these marauding terrorists who literally burnt down houses and tried to kill as many people as they could. And this also brings to mind the plea by the Borno State government to IDPs in Niger Republic to come back home. So when you come back home, this is what you're coming to see, to meet again, that these terrorists are still all over the place, attacking villagers and destroying their hard-earned property.
This is really sad news, and there's been something frequent recently. I don't know if you would agree. There's been something frequent about these attacks.
Yes, there's been an escalation.
Yeah.
Although the Chief of Army Staff says, well, what we now see is terrorism, which may not end, but that insurgency had been checked. And, you know, we've made the point before that how do you differentiate to an ordinary man, you know, between insurgency and what constitutes terrorism? That kind of academic definition may not make sense to those people who are attacked, to those people who lose their loved ones.
Exactly.
You know, and that what would pacify Nigerians, what would please Nigerians, is a situation whereby there is very concrete improvement in the security situation in the country.
Yeah.
And that's what we should be discussing,
yes,
rather than personalities.
Because this headline looks like insurgency as far as I'm concerned.
No, well, you see these definitions and clarification of nomenclature, these are just outside academic. Or Boko Haram, they are no longer holding territory. Yet, they can go to any village and just wipe out all the buildings there. What difference does that make?
And walk away free.
And walk away free. So whether they are holding territory or they just have a free reign over the territory without hoisting a flag. What difference does it make to the ordinary man?
They are taken to de-radicalization centers where the state becomes a church or a mosque and preaches repentance. And then at the end of the day, you know, thousands of them are released back to the community. Yes. So these are some of the contradictions that the ordinary man on the street does not understand and may not accept.
Honestly.
Okay, let's look at the Daily Sun. But before we look at the lead story, beside the masthead of the Daily Sun, we will rescue Leah Sharibu, others, Buhari vows. Yes, on the 2nd anniversary of that attack on the girls' school in Dapchi. Most of the girls released, except, I think a few died. Then the last girl still in captivity is Leah Sharibu, and she's been held because of her religious conviction. Yes, the president made that point yesterday, that no stone will be left unturned to rescue Leah Sharibu, and that, indeed, no Nigerian should be forced to accept another religion other than that which the person prefers to associate with. I think that point was well made yesterday, but as long as this young lady remains in captivity, you can imagine the father yesterday even coming out to say that, well, perhaps government has not done enough to bring back his daughter. And I wouldn't blame him, because until the daughter returns, the government will not be seen to be doing enough.
And there's a difference between reiterating your commitment and ensuring one's return, which, of course, is what anyone would want to hear right now in that position. 2 years is such a long time.
Yeah. And let's just look at the lead story. This is another sad one. Aso Rock director killed in Abuja home. Presidency, it's painful. This, again, is another sad commentary on the state of security in the country, that somebody can just go to the home of this lady and kill her. Again, tells you that there's so much insecurity in the land. And we hope the police and all other agencies will track the killers of this lady, because this happened right there in the nation's capital.
You are quite right that this is another indication of how insecure, lives and properties have become in Nigeria. And this particular case, I mean, this is a clear case of murder, assassination, gruesome, heinous. I mean, she was still at work up till about 7 p.m., one report indicated, and then she was attacked around 10 p.m. And one newspaper even reported that after the killing, that her body was set on fire. And you keep wondering,
Barbaric.
I mean, what kind of thing that goes on in different parts of Nigeria. And as you have said, every effort must be made to track down our killers and ensure that justice is done.
This is
of course, there have been all kinds of speculations about what may have led to our killing, but I think that, that's for the security agencies, the law enforcement agents,
to unravel
and to leave out no option to pursue all leads. Because oftentimes in Nigeria, when you have a case of murder, before even investigating, the police will jump to a conclusion and tell you this is what it is. I don't think that that's the professional way to do it.
Certainly
but
not.
In this case, they've not yet said this is what they think caused it. It's only people speculating. But whatever may have been the case, I mean, murder is unacceptable.
Yes.
It's high crime.
Well, if we look,
all rest in peace.
Yes. If we look at the Daily Independent newspaper, the lead story is also the Leah Sharibu story, 2 years after Buhari vows to secure release. But if we just look beneath the photograph there, the U.S. gives Nigeria conditions for review of visa ban. Yes, the visa ban by the U.S. is not it forever. As soon as certain conditions are met, there will be a review. And that is according to the United States Ambassador to Nigeria, Her Excellency Mary Beth Leonard, who visited the Minister of Labor and Employment, Chris Ngige. And she said that once Nigeria improved her data intelligence such that it will be easy to investigate any immigrant wishing to visit her country and meet information sharing systems, the ban will be reviewed. Of course, these conditions were stated earlier to the Nigerian authorities. The Nigerian authorities were contacted, but we did not respond accordingly, and hence that ban was slammed, Nigeria and a number of other countries, whereas a country like Chad and Mali were able to go off that list because they responded, they took measures.
And they don't have the population that we do, Let's be honest.
Anyway, I think, this will be heartwarming for many Nigerians who have been very anxious about the U.S. visa ban on Nigerians, along with 5 other countries, including Sudan, Eritrea, Myanmar, Tanzania, and Sudan, right? I mentioned Sudan. Now, I think, what is important about this story is how the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria has helped to offer further clarifications. One, she made it clear that, this new policy does not affect the status of Nigerians who are currently living in the United States.
Yeah.
2, she said that, look, it doesn't affect tourists, tourists from the 6 affected countries who still want to go to the U.S. 3, that it does not affect students' visas, particularly students that are in the United States. And I think that clarification is important. And it's reassuring that she says the ban will be temporary because what is required from the Nigerian end is to share data, to share intelligence, to share information, to make it possible that there's greater collaboration in terms of checking the influx into the United States of persons who may have doubtful credentials. And I think that clarification is very important because many Nigerians thought, this was a blanket ban meant to permanently label and demonize Nigeria.
But I think the bigger issue as well is to share data. We have to have data, right? And there's that argument that we don't have this data in existence. We don't know how many people we have in our country. We don't have registries to mark so many things. So where is the starting point? I mean, it's very hopeful on paper, but where is the starting point? This is something that could take years.
The national identification scheme that is going on.
That we all still have paper that we're using. Oh, I saw Anthony Joshua got his yesterday, and I commented on it. I said, meanwhile, we're still here waiting with paper slips.
But it's a process, you know, yes. This process of continuing the registration of Nigerians. We should know who is in Nigeria.
Thank
who
you.
Is in Nigeria. Who does what. You're right. We have to gather the intelligence first.
Yes. But I hope with our porous borders, some foreigners are not already getting into that
That's
system,
the issue.
even before.
How easy it is to get a Nigerian passport.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel Efeni. We'll continue tomorrow.